Yo, I believe we are live. Is everybody seeing me, hearing me? We're all good here. Okay, looks like I'm live. What's up, y'all? I think this is only like the third live stream I've done, so let me. What up, what up? Hey, Eduardo, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. Let me know where you guys are watching from. All right, cool. I'm always curious because I get people from, man, from Canada. I get a lot of people from the Philippines, surprisingly. From the UK, that's crazy. That's awesome. Welcome. Yeah, thanks, Eduardo. Eduardo's been a longtime supporter. He's a member, uh, and he always gives really good advice. He always shows up to the members only live streams and gives me solid advice. So thank you, Eduardo. Poland, that's crazy. What's up? I think I'm. My mom told me I'm a little bit Polish. I don't know. I got to do one of those genetic test things, but um, yeah, we got Germany, Canada. Thank you, thank you. Awesome. Nebraska. What's up, Mio? How's it going? So, yeah, thank you guys for being here. The goal today is just to celebrate 10K subscribers. I've only been doing this for under 3 months now. So I'm really grateful for all the support that has come out like in this short amount of time. So thank you guys so much. It's been a lot of fun. The videos have been so much fun to make, and it's been a lot of fun to interact with people and to meet people who have been positively affected by my videos, which, thank God for that. And yeah, and I've been positively affected as well. I've had to learn a lot to make these videos. There's a lot of research that goes into them. And I think I mentioned in one of my videos, I spend like 6 hours on each video, including like the research, the outlining, the recording, the editing, which is the bulk of the time is editing, uh, and designing thumbnails. Like all of that stuff takes so much time, and I learned so much through all of it. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful for um, all the great people I get to meet, like you guys. We got uh, Germany, Canada, Nebraska. Mio is Serbian. Deus Volt is in Indiana. Nice. Mio is Eastern Orthodox. Interesting. So we probably got some stuff we disagree about. Yeah. So the agenda for this video is really just to hang out. So whatever questions you guys have, whatever you want to talk about, we can do that. Let's not go through that rabbit hole. Hey, I got time, man. We can talk about it. Mio, were you always Eastern Orthodox? Like, did you grow up Eastern Orthodox or did you convert later? because I've noticed a lot of people are converting from Protestantism or even atheism into Eastern Orthodoxy and Catholicism. So I'm curious if you grew up that way. You were always Orthodox. Okay, cool. Nice. What about everybody else? Are a lot of converts here, or cradle Catholics, non-Catholics? Bro, how did you get so many subs and views with only 40 plus vids? I noticed that the tide really started shifting after I started really working on thumbnails. Because before, I would just like screenshot myself making a face like, oh, and then put some text over it. And that didn't seem to work very well. So if you look at like my first 3 videos, the thumbnails are garbage and they didn't do very well. But if you look at maybe 5-10 videos in, I started really focusing on the thumbnails and making them better and making them more eye-catching. And I think also just talking about issues that are trending or issues that have a lot of name recognition. Like my latest video, which is my best performing video by far, is about Young Sheldon. And Young Sheldon is obviously a very popular show. A lot of people know about it. A lot of people like it. And so if they see that thumbnail, what, this guy's talking about Young Sheldon and how Young Sheldon's wrong about Christianity, I got to watch this. Like, because, so I think that's the high level view of why that all took off so fast. I was not born Catholic. I was born Protestant. I wasn't really born into a religious family, but my foster parents, who really had a big part of raising me, they fostered me for, I think, about a year. And then after my mom was in a position to take me back into her home, she brought me back. But my mom and dad were never religious. My grandparents, however, very religious, very strong believers in Protestant Christianity. So they raised me in that vein of Christianity. They go to churches that are more charismatic or non-denominational kind of churches. So I grew up in that world. I went to a Christian elementary school for a time, and that was the world I grew up in. And it wasn't until, well, yeah, then later on, when I was about 15, I think it was, I realized I didn't have a good reason to believe in Christianity. No one had ever told me why we believe this is true. My grandparents, my dad, who became very religious later on, none of them could tell me, why do we believe this is true? Why is Christianity true, as opposed to all these other religions? Like, what makes this more real than these other religions? Or are all religions just made up stories, which is what I thought. So since nobody can give me an answer to that, I figured there is no good answer to that, and I became an atheist. Where for 8 years I was not just a common like person who was like, yeah, I don't really believe in that stuff, but I was diligently arguing against Christianity on social media usually, and it was through that arguing against Christianity that I ended up arguing with a friend of mine who was a lifelong Christian as well. And he gave me arguments where I wasn't convinced, but I was like, oh, okay, they at least have arguments. And then later on, I had like a, I don't know, kind of like a quarter life crisis, I guess. And that led me to look at religion more seriously and actually weigh the evidence objectively for Christianity and other religions. And I came away finding that Christianity has by far the most evidence. And then more recently, this past Easter, I was confirmed as a Catholic after looking into church history and realizing that the Catholic Church is the only church that is consistent with the original church, because Protestants have changed a lot of things. Say what you will about Orthodoxy being consistent with the early church, but I do see a lot of evidence for the belief in the papacy or the primacy of the Bishop of Rome in the early church, which leads me to believe that Orthodoxy is a little bit off track. So that's why I was ultimately convinced of Catholicism. that is the very short version of like my entire life story there. So, wow. Georgitsu converted to Catholicism from Protestantism, same, about a year ago. Best decision of my life. What's your story? Well, I just gave it to you. So there you go. I was raised evangelical, very anti-Roman Catholic, converting to Orthodoxy now. I'd much rather watch Catholic content than the vast majority of Prot content. Well, that's not saying much, but thank you anyways. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of good, actually, I don't know. I'm not aware of a lot of Protestant content out there on YouTube, so maybe there's some really good ones out there that I'm just not aware of. But yeah. Why is religion a controversial topic? I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to talk about religion. Maybe, well, I could see why people think it's controversial because this is a belief system that you hold dearly. It's almost like your nationality in a way. So if you're questioning somebody's religion or, yeah, providing arguments against somebody's religion, it's like basically saying their entire life is wrong or something. I don't know. I get why it's controversial, but I don't think it means that we need to be angry about it necessarily. Like if you watch my videos, even when I'm arguing against atheism or Protestantism, I never really get angry because I don't think this is something to get angry about. Unless somebody's doing something very disrespectful to whatever, the Holy Eucharist or an image or statue of the Virgin Mary or an image or statue of Jesus, that kind of stuff would make me angry. But when we're just talking, we're just disagreeing, it's not something to get angry about, in my opinion. So glad you came back to Christ. Me too. Life was not good when I was away. TBH, I'm like converting to Presbyterian? You mean Presbyterian or Catholic? Man, I heard Presbyterianism is having a hard time with a lot of the alphabet community stuff seeping into their church. So I would be careful about that. Your channel is very enjoyable. Thank you. My mom used to be evangelical, but she converted to Catholicism before she had me. Well, that's good. That was another thing that kept me very, what's the word? Proactive, I guess I could say, about what denomination or what branch of Christianity I wanted to be part of. I did a lot of research because I know once we have kids, I don't want to have to switch denominations and be like, oh, well, your first 6 years of your life, we were Lutherans, but now I'm convinced that, non-denominationalism is true or something, and just be bouncing them around. They'd be really confused and probably fall out of the faith very quickly in their early adulthood or teenage years. So I didn't want to do that to them. So I did a lot of research into all of the different branches of Protestantism, I did a lot of research into Orthodoxy and Catholicism before coming to the decision to become Catholic because, like I said, I don't want my kids to go through jumping around churches and stuff like that. That would not be fair to them. So it's good that your mom converted to Catholicism before having you, so you had a consistent Catholic faith growing up. My dad gets extremely offended at the idea that there's one church that has kept the ancient faith. He says none of it matters and it's needlessly divisive. Still haven't figured out how to navigate it. Yeah, I think it's large. I understand what he's objecting to in that because it sounds very exclusive. But at the same time, if he is a Christian, I'm assuming he's a Protestant Christian, wouldn't it also sound equally exclusive or maybe even more so to say there's only one true religion? So the fact that it sounds exclusive doesn't mean that it's false. I personally don't care how mean a belief sounds or how exclusive or excluding a belief sounds. I care more about, is that belief true? So we believe that Christianity is the only true religion, that other religions like Buddhism, Taoism, Islam, um, whatever, Hinduism, all those religions are false. Every Christian agrees with that, or should. They might have elements of truth. The Catholic Church teaches that all religions have elements of truth, but that Catholicism has the fullness of truth. However, if we wouldn't say, well, how can you say only one religion is true? A Protestant Christian would say, no, like, get over it. Only one religion is true. And we can talk about why we believe that, or the evidence for and against that. But to say that it sounds bad, or it sounds mean to say that there's only one true church, I think it's kind of falling into the same fallacious thinking that people get into when they object to us saying there's only one true religion. And I mean, you could get into more specific issues, like, do you believe, I'm assuming your dad, who is a Protestant Christian, would say that any church who teaches that Jesus is not God is not a true Christian church. So now we're whittling it down, right? And then we can go further. Any church who doesn't any church that does not teach the Trinity is not a true Christian church. So now we're whittling down even further, and we can go further, and then eventually we can get into arguments for why the Catholic Church, why Jesus came here to establish one church, and how not being part of that church leaves you outside of his plan for your salvation, and things like that. So I think that's one way you can handle it, is like, start with all the religions. We know that there's only one true religion. Within that one true religion, there are people who claim to be part of that religion that are not actually part of that religion. And you can kind of whittle it down from there to Catholicism. Happy 10K. I just wanted to share some exciting news. I recently proposed to my girlfriend. Congrats. She's a Baptist, but I'm praying for her conversion. Appreciate all the great content. Keep it up. Congrats, man. That's awesome. I think, obviously pray for her conversion. Everybody else, help him out in praying for her conversion. I think really make sure before wedding day that she is on board with raising your children Catholic, because that will become a huge area of contention for you guys later on if you don't have agreement with that. For example, my wife, this is very personal, so I don't know, don't tell anybody, but my wife is not a Christian, not a Catholic, but she's basically a deist who doesn't believe that any organized religion is true. Doesn't believe that any unorganized religion is true. She's not like a spiritualist kind of thing. She doesn't believe in New Agey stuff. She's not crazy, to put it that way. But she agrees that we are going to raise our kids Catholic. She sees the benefit that it's had in my life becoming a Christian and a Catholic, and so she wants that for our kids as well. And she even goes with me to church. We do pray the rosary pretty frequently, so she's on board with it. So I think at the very least having that would save you a lot of trouble later on in your marriage. What did I miss here? I'm taking a class on apologetics. Oh, where at? That's cool. Yeah, that's part of the reason she started to research Christianity thoroughly, because she was so confused about what church to go to. Yeah, I'm glad she did that before you were born. That's very smart. I find a lot of the Protestant arguments against apostolic churches apply equally to Christianity versus other religions almost without fail. Yeah, I've noticed that too. How come Jesus prayed to God when he is God? Because he was an example to us. For example, why did Jesus get baptized? If baptism is for the forgiveness of sins, Jesus didn't have any sins. Why did he get baptized? It's as setting an example for Christians of what Christians should do, because as Christians, we are called to be Jesus. So he's showing us this is how you be perfect. None of us will do that perfectly in this life, but he gives us that image to strive towards. I bring that up. I say we can't agree on what is essential, but he just appeals to vague intuition as to what's really important without nailing much down. Yeah, so this is the I believe it's the father who is Protestant doesn't like that we say Catholicism is the only true church. So with stuff like that, when you've hit a wall, I say stop arguing, just don't even bring it up. And if he brings it up, but you can tell he's closed off to the idea of being proven wrong, which happens to me a lot with family. I could tell they bring things up because they want me to hear what they have to say. They don't want to hear what I have to say. So I just say, like, I'll give my response calmly, and I'll say, but we don't have to talk about this. Like, we're not going to agree. It's okay. I love you. We're family. We can just have a good time together, just hang out. And eventually, hopefully, God willing, and what you should be praying for, and what we will all be praying for you, is that eventually he will be open to having a conversation that is not coming from a place of, let me tell you why you're wrong, but he'll actually be curious and be like, wait, what is this about? Like, I heard about this the other day. Can you tell me more about that? And then you'll have a genuine conversation about it. That is the best bet, because once you get into those arguments where he's just closed off and just saying no and bringing up like vague rebuttals, there's really no hope of getting through at that point. Eduardo, thank you. A gift for your 10K anniversary. I appreciate it. That's awesome. All right. Who is your favorite saint? I'm going to give an answer that is not Mary or Joseph, because I think those are, or any of the apostles, because I think that's kind of cheating, because of course. But I think, let me see, Saint Agatha is really cool. Let me look up her story, because she's really cool. So Saint Agatha, if I'm remembering correctly, she was the saint who, from a very young age, dedicated herself to chastity and entirely to serving God. And there was a very, like a high status Roman male that wanted to marry her. And she said, no, I'm consecrated to God. And for that, he kind of like snitched her out or got her in trouble somehow with the authorities, and they had her tortured and killed. And it was, there's descriptions of it that are very painful and terrible, but she's rumored, or like legend has it, that she went to her death wearing a white dress, saying that now she finally gets to meet her Lord. And just that kind of bravery is something that I really appreciate in saints. Joachim, dude, I remember you. What are you talking about? I was in your Discord server a couple months ago, but I left suddenly. I'm really sorry about that. I want to take some time to cut everything. No worries, dude. Yeah, to see if my faith depends on social media influence or on myself. That's important. No, you got nothing to be sorry for. Joachim, I remember you. So Joachim is from back when I was doing TikTok, which was like, since I've been doing TikTok for years, but I was doing TikTok before I was Catholic, and I started doing TikTok as a Catholic, and during like the end of last year, like I want to say November or so, or October of last year. So I met Joachim through that. He was always showing up to the live streams, and we got to know each other pretty well. If I'm not mistaken, he's Eastern Orthodox and he lives in Greece, and he's a really cool dude. But yeah, Joachim, I think that's a good idea. It's easy at times, especially being on this side of the camera, to think, is my faith actually real, or is this just depending on social media? Like, am I practicing this faith because this is what gets me clout on social media or something? Now, I mean, I feel comfortable with my faith knowing that it's not because of social media, because I made the decision to become Catholic after taking a break from posting any social media content about my religious beliefs. I wasn't doing TikTok. I wasn't doing YouTube at the time. I don't even think I was doing Instagram as part of like a creator type of thing. So I'm confident in my decision to become Catholic, but there are times now where I'm like, am I praying the rosary every day because I actually believe in it, or is it just because so I can say that I pray the rosary every day? That's something that we always have to keep ourselves in check with. Berserker, thank you. Signed up for RCIA just a couple hours ago. Nice. Your videos have helped a lot. That's awesome. Really love the Deutero Canon series. Yeah, I'm so sorry for people who started watching the Deutero Canon series, because I did, I think, 2 videos and then I haven't done another one since. I was hoping to get one out this week. I didn't have the time for it. So here's the behind the scenes on my life, guys. I have a full-time job, and it's a work from home job, so that's how I have some time to do YouTube. But the busyness of my job fluctuates from time to time. So when my work is less busy, I have more time to make YouTube videos and I can crank out like 2 or 3 videos a week. But lately work has been more busy and personal life has been more busy, not for any negative reasons, but just because that's life. Stuff around the house needs to be fixed and things like that. So that's why I haven't had time to do in-depth research videos, and these Deuterocanon videos take so long because I have to read the book and I have to take notes on each chapter. I have to take notes on verses that stand out to me as, being in opposition to Protestant theology and all that stuff. And then I have to make an outline for the video. I have to narrow down that list, all this stuff. So all that is to say, that's why I haven't done the Deuterocanon series, any more videos in the Deuterocanon series yet, because it takes a lot of time. And I started reading Maccabees and I realized, oh, this book is really long. It's crazy long. So yeah. And also sometimes I like to switch it up to talk about different topics. I don't want to talk about the same topic every week because that's boring for you guys. It's boring for me. So yeah. Thoughts on the traditional mass, like the Latin mass? I haven't been to one. I hear it's beautiful. I like it. I would love to go to one. I have no problems with it, but I also have no problems with the Novus Ordo, as long as it's a reverent Novus Ordo, not like, look, everybody finds beauty in whatever mass they prefer, but personally, I prefer a more traditional Novus Ordo mass to a mass where someone's playing the acoustic guitar or something like that. So that's just me. Okay, I have something crazy to say. Well, you're in the right place. YouTube is the place to say crazy things. I think the Vatican City Pope is bad. Okay. You're not alone. A lot of people think that. Not only does he support the alphabet community, to say he supports them is, you have to clarify what you mean by support. He supports their conversion. He wants them to feel welcome and know that there's an open door for them to convert and come into the church. He doesn't support them living in their current lifestyle and never repenting or never changing their ways. He definitely doesn't support that. And he's made that very clear. But people are calling him Father and Lord. I've never heard anybody call the Pope Lord. Father is fitting because that is the title you give to a priest or a bishop. I think bishop is a different title, but you can still call them Father. He's not canonized yet, but I love Elder Thaddeus of Vitovnica. All right. He has a cool name. I like him too. There's a Discord server. There is. Maybe I could do it just for members. I have to get permission from the rest of the folks in the Discord server because it's not my Discord server. It was like me and a couple of other Catholics on TikTok who came together to make a Discord server. But I'm sure I could share it with members. I'll just check with them first. Joachim, congrats on the 10K. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Oh, you are Roman Catholic from an Eastern Orthodox background. My bad. Protestant here considering Catholicism. Your videos have been the most helpful and clear. Thank you. Your recent video on Mary's perpetual virginity was especially helpful and gave so much clarity. Thanks. That's awesome. That's really helpful for me to hear because sometimes I wonder, like, am I making this more complicated than it needs to be? But what I really try to focus on is like what is the origin of this belief? What are the biblical foundations of this belief? And what are the historical foundations of this belief to show that it's not some new invention by the Catholic Church, but that it has roots in the Bible and in the early church? Because anytime like Catholicism and Protestantism, for example, disagree on how to interpret any specific passage of scripture or verse, it's important to take a look at what the early church believed and see, okay, these people were the closest in time and in location many times to the original apostles, who were the ones who directly learned from Jesus and who wrote themselves scripture inspired by the Holy Spirit. So anything that this early church believes has more credibility, in my opinion, than than the beliefs of somebody who came 1500 years later. So I try to do that, and then I try to find implications in rejecting this belief. For example, in rejecting the belief that Mary is the mother of God, that implies that Jesus is not God, or it implies that there's some weird belief about the incarnation that's going to lead you towards heretical routes that were condemned by the church like a century or a millennia ago. So that's my approach towards those videos, and I'm glad that that's helpful. I have to go. It was nice watching the live. Congrats on 10K. Thanks, Rosefire. If you're still here, thank you. Just a Catholic. You want to go to a Latin Mass too? Yeah, they seem beautiful. An argument for the perpetual virginity I heard Christian Wagner bring up is that Gabriel didn't give any time frame, but she still said, how could this be? Even as a betrothed woman. Yeah, if you say, hey, you're going to give birth to the Son of God, and she says, how could this be? It's like, well, you're married. I mean, you have a husband. You can make this happen. But she didn't seem to think of that. Obviously, she's not dumb. So obviously, she had in mind that this would mean perpetual virginity. During the Eucharist, when the priest says, this is my body, which is given up for you, I see a lot of people bow their heads at this moment. Is this church instruction or just their personal doing? To be honest, I'm not sure. I've noticed a lot of bowing, especially during when we're singing, I don't know the name of the songs, but when we're singing like what's that one song? After we say the Kyrie, I'm blanking. But when the name Jesus is sung in that song, people tend to bow. And I've just started to do that because I see other people doing it, and I'm like, that seems pretty respectful and reverent, so I'm going to do that. But a lot of this stuff is just personal taste. Like at my church, a lot of people do the hands, like when the priest says, peace be with you, or the Lord be with you, and they say, and with your spirit. I used to lift my hands, and then I found out that in the documents of the Second Vatican Council, it was stated that only the priest should be the one lifting his hands. So I just don't do it anymore, but it's a matter of personal taste. It's not a big deal, I don't think. I just lean towards whatever is most reverent and respectful towards what we're doing there and towards God, who is physically becoming present in front of us. I want to do that. Also, the Pope says that all Muslims, etc., will make it into heaven. I don't believe that he said that, or if he did, no, I really don't believe he said that. Let me look it up. So what I'm seeing here is that he did not say that all Muslims will go to heaven. He's often spoken about the shared values and common heritage between Christians and Muslims, highlighting that both groups worship the same merciful God. Now, I don't necessarily believe that Muslims and Christians worship the same God. But he's also not speaking ex cathedra when he's saying these things, so you don't have to take everything as dogmatic truth. there is freedom to disagree with the Pope's personal beliefs. Pope Francis has also stressed that God allows the existence of different religions as part of his permissive will. That makes sense. And that it is crucial for people of all faiths to work together towards fraternity and peace. That also makes sense. So, I mean, that's just my cursory, quick research on that. Maybe there's more I could look into there. Hallie, what's up? Thank you. Yeah, the Pope definitely does not say that. If I'm correct, I think we should watch the Eucharist when held by the priest and bow our head when he takes it down, symbolizing the death of Christ. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. He did not say it. There was a video saying he did. Well, I need to hear it from him. I don't want to just hear somebody saying that he said it, because I've responded to a video of a guy saying that the Pope said things that the Pope just did not say. I've been watching your videos lately, and I have to say one word: amazing. Thanks, man. Fantastic content creator. You deserve the 10K. Thank you so much, Joachim. I think we've come a long way from TikTok. I remember TikTok. I was in my garage at times, and you could just see all my stuff in the garage behind me. It was not a good setup. And there I was praying the rosary or something on a live stream. There's no way he said all of X group will go to heaven. Yeah, because the Pope wouldn't even say that all Catholics would go to heaven, because people can call themselves Catholics and not really be Catholics. Lumen Gentium 16 says, according to Gubbanubnubduraka, interesting username. But according to that person, Lumen Gentium 16 says, the plan of salvation also includes those who acknowledge the Creator in the first place, amongst whom are the Muslims. These profess to hold the faith of Abraham, and together with us they adore the one merciful God. Okay. Oh, TikTok. And my question is, TikTok worth it? TikTok is so not worth it. I spent so much time on TikTok. I was on there for maybe 3 years. And even though I had videos that blew up, I had videos that got millions of views. I only got like 8,000 followers. And on here, I've gotten way less views than millions. And I've gotten over 10,000 followers now. So there's, I don't think there's a lot of upside on TikTok. Like, if you already have a base of viewers and they want short form content and they want that on TikTok, then sure. But as your primary place of creation, I think it's useless. I think it's terrible. What do you think about books only found in Eastern Orthodox or Ethiopian Bible, like 3rd, 4th Maccabees, 1st or 2nd Esdras, Jubilees? I think if it wasn't affirmed by the councils that have defined the canon the same way ever since the 4th century, then it's probably not worth considering scripture. Joachim, a long way from TikTok, yes, but it was cool and a good start. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. The good thing about TikTok is, at least for me, I had very few viewers, and that allowed me to just get to know people really well. And a lot of those people that I met now almost a year ago, I'm still really good friends with. Are you in the Knights of Columbus? I've seen the Blessed Michael McGivney prayer card in your videos. Yes, I am in the Knights of Columbus. Here is my Knights of Columbus sticker to prove it. Yeah, I haven't been as active in it as I would like to be. I should be volunteering more. You have quality viewership, patient spectators on YouTube. Yeah, because here's the thing, I made videos on TikTok that were 8 minutes long, sometimes explaining very detailed theological concepts, and they got no views. And even the people that did view it, they tuned out after like 2 seconds. So it's really not worth the time. It's only good if you have really simple beliefs, or if you somehow come up with a really good way to communicate very complex beliefs in a span of like 6 seconds, then it'd be good for you. But I haven't found a way to do that. The bad thing that is going on there is a show called, okay, Spreading Lies About God. Okay. Interesting. I don't know of any popular media that isn't spreading lies about God. That is true. Hence, my two highest performing videos, which are responding to shows that either lie about arguments for the existence of God or lie about history to make Christians look bad. I think that's a really cool niche that I could pursue. I just need to find more shows that misrepresent Christians. Will you drop more videos like the Tobit one? Yes. That one was great. The Deuterocanonical books need more love. They're so different. Yes, I will definitely be dropping more. My goal, which it's been my goal for a couple of weeks to drop a new one, but time has not permitted. My goal is to next week drop a video on probably Sirach, or I may combine Sirach, Wisdom, and Esther, because I found that those books are kind of a collection of sayings, unless I'm misremembering. I know that Wisdom and Sirach are. So I think a good format for that would be just to go over some of the really powerful passages that have really solid and practical advice, which there's a lot of them in Sirach that I've found so far. And then also to find what areas of Protestant theology does this book disagree with, and therefore is likely why Martin Luther wanted to remove it. And then I would argue from there why, since this is in the Bible and Martin Luther arbitrarily removed it, but we should consider it in the Bible, and it confirms many areas of Catholic theology, therefore Protestants should just become Catholic. Randy, congrats, man. Thank you. I can relate to your family religious disagreements. Yeah, I grew up in an independent rad trad church, and I just entered the Catholic Church via RCIA last Easter. Nice. Congrats, man. Eduardo, what's the Knights of Columbus? So it's like it's like a fraternity. I think it's the largest Catholic fraternity organization in the world, and they do a lot of volunteer work, and they raise a lot of money for the church and for charitable causes. Like my, I don't know what you call it, my region or whatever of the Knights of Columbus has raised a lot of money for like pregnancy centers and things like that, and for the church, obviously. So they do a lot of good work like that. They feed the hungry. They do good things like that. Honest question, why am I getting ads? I don't know. You're a member. You shouldn't, right? That's weird. Georgitsu, even when not talking ex cathedra, I heard the Pope's words are still infallible when talking about faith and morals. No, that is not true. Now, I I don't like, as a Catholic, to hide behind that, to say, well, he wasn't speaking ex cathedra, so we don't have to care about what he says. Because I do think like the Pope has a special place of authority in the church. So even what he says off the cuff, I feel like we should care about in some way. But if he says something that is not ex cathedra, that is clearly just false, like if he were to say in passing to somebody on the street or some interviewer, like, yeah, all Muslims go to heaven, we could say, okay, we're just going to reject that because you weren't speaking ex cathedra, and that's just not true. But if he is speaking ex cathedra, we do have to take what he says as infallible, and we have to abide by it. Now, if he says something ex cathedra that is contradictory to Scripture, clearly, for example, if he were to say, what would be very clear? It's okay to sin without any repentance, and you'll still go to heaven. Then we could just say, okay, this is an anti-pope, or the church has fallen, or something crazy like that. But nothing even remotely close to that has happened. So, but what's his name? Voice of Reason. I forget his real name. I think his name is Alex something. He had a debate with James White, and James White brought up something like, what would you do if the Pope said something clearly counter-scriptural? And Alex had a really good response, which I hadn't considered before. He said, if that happens, then Catholicism is false. Which is pretty heavy. But it's also true, because Catholicism makes a very explicit claim that this is the one true church, and anything dogmatically defined by this church is inspired by the Holy Spirit and is therefore infallible. So if that is clearly false, then Catholicism is false. And what's impressive is that the Catholic Church has existed for 2,000 years, roughly, and that hasn't happened yet. There's been, I don't know how many popes, and that hasn't happened yet, which is quite impressive and speaks to how true Catholicism really is. Anyways, I forgot where I left off. Eduardo, I don't know why you're getting ads. I'm sorry. I'm going to go yell at YouTube. Luther only removed some parts from Daniel and Esther. That is true. Still kind of weird that you would remove from the Bible arbitrarily. Praying for your wife. Thank you. My husband was agnostic for 8 years and then came back to Christianity and is now convinced of Catholicism, and it is the reason I'm studying it as well. That's awesome. Congrats on that. Have you looked into Simon Bar Kokhba, Jewish revolutionary figure that denied Christ and even proclaimed himself as the Messiah? Nope, I have not looked into that. If I'm not mistaken, ex cathedra, speaking from the chair. Yeah, from the chair of Peter. $20 super chat. Wow, thank you. That's really generous. Let me see. Yo, man, your content has been very helpful in guiding me out of the chaos of Protestantism and into the Catholic Church. Lord willing, I will be starting OCIA in a few weeks. Keep up the good work. God bless. That's awesome. Congrats, dude. Or dudette. I'm not sure, but that's awesome. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for following the content. I'm glad it's been helpful for you. And yeah, let me know if there's any questions on your mind that are pressing or that are causing problems for you, and I'd be happy to make videos on that. I made a mistake. The quote was taken from Lumen Gentium 16, but it's actually from the Catholic Catechism 841. You see, that's why I didn't trust your username. Gubbanubnub Duraka. I knew I shouldn't have trusted you. I'm just kidding. It's all good. We need to support this content. Everyone drop a buck. You don't have to, but thank you, Andres. I am trying to see if I can make this a full-time endeavor because I enjoy doing this a lot. I enjoy my full-time work as well, and I'm very grateful for it. It's a very, very nice job. but this is what I'm passionate about. So if I can do this full time, then I can hopefully do more good for the world and also do something for a living that I really, really believe in. So I appreciate any support that helps me get there. Thank you. Nah, the more you make, the better. Luther also said the epistle of James was an epistle of straw. I know. Has nothing to do with the gospel in it. Yeah. He wanted to throw out Revelation, the James, Hebrews, because he just didn't like it. He just wasn't feeling it. So we'll just take it out. Just get rid of it. Why not? As a Protestant who's grown up with the King James Version, since I'm now inquiring Catholicism, is the Dewey Reams a good translation? I think if you like that style of writing, the very old English style, then the Dewey Reams is solid. And it's going to have those deuterocanonical books that are no longer present in the King James Version. Personally, I really like the New Revised Standard Version. It's easy to understand. It's faithful to the original text. I also like the English Standard Version. I think that's been called the most accurate translation, word for word. So the New Revised Standard Version and the English Standard Version are my go-to. The English Standard Version, unless you do the Catholic edition, is not going to have the deuterocanonical books. So I would just, look out for that. If you're going to buy a Bible, make sure you get something that says Catholic edition on it. Make sure it has those deuterocanonical books. Any tips for prayer routines? Yeah, do something realistic. Don't try to be a monk from day one. So if you find you're having a hard time praying the rosary every day, that's fine. Just pray. Just start with something you can handle. Just say, okay, every day I know I'm lazy and I have no attention span, and which this is true of me. I'm not saying this is true of you. So I'm going to pray, an Our Father, 3 Hail Marys, and a Glory Be, and that's it. But as long as you can do that every day, and if it's even less than that, it's okay. Just, I'm going to do an Our Father every day. That's great. Hallie, thank you for dropping $1. That's awesome. But yeah, because I've gotten in the mode where I'm like, oh yeah, I need to pray like 4 hours a day, or I need to pray 3 rosaries a day, or something crazy. And then I find I just burn out and I don't do it. And then I end up not praying at all. Whereas it's better to just pray a little bit consistently than to aim for something crazy and not pray at all. I love all of you guys and my atheist, agnostic, Muslims, etc. Okay. Chat, who is getting that Ignatius Press Bible? It drops on November. Oh, no way. Scott Hahn on Pints of the Aquinas this week was electric. Oh, I gotta watch that. The ESV messes up Revelation 13:8 to be Calvinist slanted. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right, then never mind the ESV. Get the NRSV CE. Georgitsu, thank you. In-depth video on original sin. Ooh. Sure. At some point. I want to really close out the 2 series that I'm working on, the Deuterocanonical series and the Marian Dogma series. But the original sin thing, I touched on it in my Young Sheldon video, and then I'll probably also need to touch on it in my next Marian Dogma video that says Mary was immaculately conceived, or conceived without original sin, because then we got to get into what is original sin and why was she not born with it or not conceived with it. So there will be chances to touch on it, but as a standalone video, it might be a little while before I can get to that, but that is a good topic and something that a lot of non-Christians have a problem with. So it'd be beneficial to talk about it. Andrew, thank you. What's your opinion on the alleged Eucharistic miracle in Kerala, which occurred on 3 consecutive Sundays? I'm not familiar with it, but it doesn't surprise me to hear about a Eucharistic miracle anymore. There's been over 100 of them that have been confirmed by the church. So it's exciting. Don't get me wrong. I'm not excited about it, but I'm not in disbelief about it. I'm like, yeah, of course that happens. That's part of what made me want to become Catholic, and part of what convinced me of the truth of the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist was these Eucharistic miracles that really only happen in the Catholic Church. I've never heard of any Eucharistic miracles in Lutheranism, in Eastern Orthodoxy, in Anglicanism, in any other branch of Christianity. Obviously, we wouldn't expect it to happen in like non-denominationalism because they don't believe that Christ really is present in the Eucharist. So why would it happen there? But even in the more traditional forms of Christianity that do believe that Jesus is present in the Eucharist, whether physically or spiritually or whatever, it's never happened. At least I've never seen it happen. If it's happened, let me know, because that'd be interesting. I was baptized Seventh-day Adventist. It's been a journey, but I'm ready for RCIA. God bless you. I found out that my baptism is still valid. Yes, it is. I'm surprised because with so much research, Seventh-day Adventism seems to lean more cultish. It seems very cultish to me. I don't know much about it. My dad almost got sucked into it. Well, he didn't really. Someone brought it up to him and he asked me, like, what is this? And I was like, please don't go that way. That's crazy. But it's kind of scary the way Seventh-day Adventism is. And I know they have like some prophet lady that was around in like the 20th century that they think was the last prophet. Really strange stuff going on. But yeah, baptism, as long as it's in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, is valid according to the Catholic Church. But God bless you for getting out of that. I'm sure that was painful. There must have been a lot of arguments with your family about that and maybe some strained relationships as a result. So it takes a lot of courage to do that. So God bless you for that. And congratulations on joining God's true church. We're switching to ESV CE in England for our liturgies. Why? When did you become Catholic? I was officially confirmed this past Easter. However, I had been going to RCIA for a year before that. And even before that, I was researching Catholicism. So I'm a baby Catholic in a lot of ways, but I've also been learning about it and researching it for a long time. And I've been going to Mass for the entirety of RCIA and before RCIA. Shroud of Turin. What are your opinions? I can't remember if you spoke about this already. I have not spoken about this already. I think the Shroud of Turin is 100% legit. It's definitely Jesus's burial cloth. I'm like 99.999999999% true that is sure that is the case. Especially because of the fact that even with modern photograph technology, we don't have a way to capture an image on a piece of fabric the way that that image is on the Shroud of Turin. So, and it's not paint, it's like a negative image that was imprinted on there from what had to be like some kind of atomic reaction or something. If that is the case, then I don't see how that could have been a fake of the Middle Ages when we can't even fake it now. Ellen G. White was that Seventh-day Adventist, the last prophet of the Seventh-day Adventists. Yeah, it's strange. Proven false prophet, not surprising. Congratulations on the 10K. Thank you, Anthony. Seems you've doubled your subs in just a few short months. Well deserved. Thank you. Yeah, I've been doing this for, I think it might be almost 3 months. So it's been a really fast growth, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you, guys. Yet supposedly it's a medieval forgery, even though we can't remake it today. I know. And it perfectly lines up with the bloodstains on the pseudonym of Oviedo. I haven't heard of that, but yeah, I'm not surprised. And then I think there was more recent dating done on it that does date it back to the 1st century. So it seems really, really obvious to me that it's real. And anyone who's trying to like wiggle their way out of it is just trying to, I don't know. It just seems dishonest at this point to say that it's not real. there's no evidence anymore that it's not what it claims to be. X-ray dating, yeah. And the pseudoream was already carbonated about 800 years before the shroud was. Nice. Yeah. I don't remember if they did a blood analysis from the Shroud of Turin or if that's possible. But I vaguely remember hearing something about that too. Is that a miraculous medal? Yeah, miraculous medal. It's a Saint Joseph medal. What is a miracle that is always on your mind? Ooh. Um, there's like three of them. Two of them are not even within the Catholic Church, which is interesting. So there's one that I heard about a long time ago before I was even thinking about Catholicism, and it was this lady who was fully paralyzed. I forgot what she had. It was like multiple sclerosis or something like that. And she was bedridden. She could barely talk. She couldn't really talk. She had to whisper. And her legs were atrophied. Her hands were like curled up like this. And just almost a vegetable. Like she couldn't do anything. And then there were some people from church who would come and pray with her. And one of the times when they were there praying, she heard a voice say, "Get up, my daughter." And she was like, "Whoa." And no one else heard it. And she was like, I'm gonna walk. Go get my parents. I'm gonna walk. And they were like, "You're crazy." Okay. So they went to get her parents. And when they came back from getting her parents, she was standing up. Her muscles in her calves that were atrophied had um, reformed. So she now had muscles in her legs. Her feet, which were like curled like this, were now flattened. Her hands, which were curled, were now extended and normal. And that is insane. And then she went to church like that night, I think, and like walked down the center aisle of the church, and everybody was just amazed. Like, how is this happening? Another one was a guy. I don't remember the names, by the way, so I'm so sorry. Another one was a guy who lost his voice. He had some kind of a bacterial infection, and he lost his voice as a result. Went to the doctors. They said, "There's no way your voice is going to come back. It's just gone." And it was painful for him to talk. He would have to whisper. He was a preacher, which made this particularly painful, and he had to give that up. Obviously, he was on the brink of unaliving himself. He was about to unalive himself when he got a phone call where he was being invited to speak at an event or at some kind of a church gathering, and he was like, "That's ridiculous. I can't talk barely. It hurts to talk." And they insisted, you need to come to this. And so he said, "Okay." So he went to it, and there's a recording of in the middle of the speech, he's struggling to speak, and in the middle of it, his voice completely comes back. He goes to the doctor, and they say they have no idea how this happened. That is really, really powerful, especially because there's a recording of it. That's what is amazing to me. And then another miracle that's always, it's not always on my mind, but I think about it a lot, is the Eucharistic miracle. I think it was in Argentina, the one that actually Pope Francis, when he was Bishop Jorge Bergoglio, when he in Argentina heard reports of this, piece of Eucharist that had turned into flesh, and then they had it studied. The studies showed that this flesh, at the time that the sample was taken, this flesh was alive because there was white blood cells present. And if there's a piece of flesh that is dead, it's not going to have white blood cells. So at the time that the sample was taken, meaning when the scientist or whoever picked up the piece of the Eucharist that had become flesh, that flesh was living. So that's amazing. And that it was heart tissue, that it was, I think it was type AB blood, which is the universal receiver. All of these crazy things, which are consistent with all of the other Eucharistic miracles where blood has been analyzed. They're always AB positive. Or I don't know if it's, I don't know, type AB, universal receiver. I forget the exact positive or whatever. All of that good stuff. So those are the few miracles that always stick in my mind. It lines up with the Divine Mercy image and Veronica's veil. Oh, nice. The shroud was possibly repaired, and those repairs were tested to be later medieval dates. Yeah. How has becoming fully Catholic impacted your life? It has improved it, obviously. It's also, it's made me realize, I don't know. Okay, this is going to sound bad, but it's made me realize how not good of a person I am, because as a Catholic, we hear about and see the lives of saints. For example, in the movie Cabrini, we hear about a lot these lives of saints, and I just think I'm not doing anything remotely close to that. Like, maybe I talk on YouTube sometimes. Maybe I'm nice to people on a daily basis. I try to be. But this lady, for example, Cabrini, who was, pulling kids out of the sewer system who were abandoned because they were immigrants from Italy, and there was nothing that the government was providing for them. So they were just left homeless. And she was providing a home for them. She was fighting against the Catholic Church itself when it was opposing her efforts. All of these things she was doing, she put herself in serious danger. And she herself at the whole time had only like half a lung or something that was working. So she was struggling with her own like terminal illness, and at the same time was doing all this great work to help other people who had nothing to offer her. That kind of stuff, it makes me tear up, but it also makes me realize, like, man, I am not a good person. So that's one thing that I've realized since becoming a Catholic. That's one way it's changed my life. I don't know. That doesn't sound good, but it's made me realize that other people, even when I disagree with them or when they're aggravating me or when I don't like them, they are made in the image of God, and I need to respect them, and I need to do whatever I can for them, like be of service to them, which is really hard. But for some reason, maybe because of the examples of the saints, that has become more prominent in my mind since becoming Catholic. Also, generally, I'm happier. I feel like there's more purpose to my life. I don't feel like some kind of disconnected Christian who's an atomistic individual that's not part of some greater story or greater organization. As a Catholic, I do feel like I am part of the continuation of the story of the Bible in a lot of ways, which is a lot of responsibility, but it gives purpose to your life in a way that kind of brings a deeper peace. I don't know. Yeah, it's like this balance of, I feel like I have a lot more responsibility now to actually live up to the standards that I proclaim to be true, that are expressed in the Bible, and that Jesus holds us, the standard that Jesus holds us to, which is to be him. So there's a lot of responsibility in that, but there's also a deep sense of purpose in that, and a deep peace that comes from pursuing that purpose. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah. Joachim, my comments aren't popping up for some reason, and it's annoying me. That's weird. Oh, they came up finally. You're here. I don't know why that would be happening. Oh yeah, live chat might be that. That might be why. I'm in top chat too, so that might be Let me do live chat. Buenos Aires. Yep. Maybe I'm kind of biased towards that Eucharistic miracle in Argentina because my family's from Argentina. So I'm like, yeah, let's go Argentina. We got miracles. I don't know. That's dumb. From what I've heard, all tested Eucharistic miracles and all tested relics have type AB blood. Yeah. Have you seen the recording? Halia, if you're referring to the recording of when that guy got his voice back, then yes. I'm not sure what other recording you'd be referring to. I start RCIA in 2 weeks. Damari, congrats. Everybody pray for Damari. That's awesome. Great movie, Cabrini. That's a really good movie. Miracle of Fatima, yeah. Hail Mary, I definitely get what you mean. Thank you. I'm glad somebody does because I wasn't sure if I was making sense. That's why the intercession of the saints is so powerful. Yeah. I went to Cabrini University before I got bought out by Villanova. Her impact on me brought me to believing in the Catholic Church. Amen. And RCIA. That's awesome, George. Favorite Catholic channels. All right. Favorite Catholic channels. I really like Pints with Aquinas. You might know that if you realize that my name is a ripoff of their name. That channel and just seeing the cultural impact of that channel and of Catholics who have been on that channel was a big part of why I wanted to become a Catholic, because I was just like, man, all of these Catholics are doing things that I admire so much. Lila Rose is another one. She has a great YouTube channel. I highly recommend Lila Rose. She does a lot of good pro-life work, and she talks a lot about just day-to-day issues on her podcast. She has guests on who are maybe experts in whatever diet or who have experience in psychology or child psychology, and they give very practical advice on like best practices raising your kids, how to raise them in the faith, or she'll even talk about dating and things like that. So I think her podcast is very useful, very practical, and it's obviously coming at things from a very Catholic and pro-life perspective, which I like. So I highly recommend Lila Rose. So Pints with Aquinas, Lila Rose. Catholic Answers, obviously. Trent Horn is, in my opinion, Trent Horn is a genius. Yeah. I got nothing else to say, but like I've made videos. For example, I made a video about Mary's the Mother of God, defending that Marian dogma that she is the Mother of God. And then Trent Horn made a video like the same day or the next day or something. And I watched his video and I was like, this is so much better than my video. He's brilliant. The way he frames things is really, really powerful. So Trent Horn is awesome. I'm sure you guys have heard of these people already, but those are some of my favorites. Don't feel bad to be happy for your country. It's a beautiful thing when not taken to an unhealthy extreme. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of whatever country you're in. I hope you love that country. That's one thing about French people, because I personally have had bad experiences with French people. I traveled to Sweden a long time ago, and there's a lot of French people there, and they were very rude. But I really like that French people are unapologetic about being proud of their country, and they're very unapologetic about getting mad if you speak their language incorrectly. They're like, no, like don't even speak French if you're going to talk like that. It's rude, it's mean, it might be extreme, but I like it. I think it's good. I don't know. Yeah, there's also another example, like Vietnam. So my wife is Vietnamese, her family is from Vietnam, and I've been learning Vietnamese. It was part of my promise when I asked for her hand in marriage from her parents. And one thing I really like about the Vietnamese is that they just like their country. They're very proud of their country. And, we don't have to agree with everything that their country has ever done or everything that their country is currently doing. I don't agree with everything my country is currently doing, but I think it's still beautiful to be proud of one's country and to love their country. So I like that. I don't know. I forgot why I went on that tangent. I'm being baptized this month on the 29th. Congrats, Georgitsu. That's awesome. Catholic Truth with Brian Mercer, also very good. Okay, I'll have to check it out. He's loyal to the Holy Father, just like you are. Yeah, how are you going to be a Catholic and reject the Pope? That's like saying you're a Christian, but you reject the Bible or you reject Jesus or something like that. The only thing, one of pretty much the only thing that differentiates Catholicism from Orthodoxy or Catholicism from Anglicanism or Lutheranism is the recognition of the Pope. So if you are a Catholic who rejects the Pope, you're not a Catholic. It's very simple. Trent Horn is also so good at not getting riled up while debating. Yes, that is a very good trait to have. Trent Horn got some flack on his recent video on Catholic fundamentalists. Yeah, I'm sure he did, but he's right. I heard that some states are planning on forcing priests to tell on murderers and etc., people who have done sins that have broken the law, but priests can't do that. They've taken oath. Yeah, states can pass whatever law they want. Priests aren't going to do that. I've heard stories of priests who have been tortured to death because they wouldn't give up somebody's confessions, and they're just like, yeah, you just have to kill me because I'm not going to do that. So shout out to any priests who would for some reason be watching this, because that is quite a position to be in when the government is demanding that you give up the details of somebody's confession at the threat of being arrested potentially, and your response is, you got to arrest me then, I'm not going to do it. God bless him. A friend of mine introduced me to your channel when he began his journey. He's going Orthodox, so it's funny that we debate each other and we are such Padawans. It's been fun so far. Nice. Well, obviously my channel didn't do a good enough job then because he went Orthodox and not Catholic. What are your thoughts on William Albrecht and Sam Shamoun? I really like Sam Shamoun. I'm not familiar with William. The name sounds really familiar, but I'm not able to pull up a face. But Sam Shamoun is an absolute beast. I would never, ever want to debate that guy. He's terrifying. I don't know how he keeps that much knowledge in his brain. He does get riled up. Someone mentioned earlier that Trent Horn never gets riled up in a debate. Sam Shamoun gets riled up, but in a way it's good because he's mad at the dishonesty that he sees in people, that they're lying to themselves, and he's not going to tolerate that. He doesn't let anybody get away with anything. He's never going to say, like, if you give some kind of a half thought out answer, he's not going to let you get away with it. He's going to hold you to it. So I really like that. I like his approach in that way. I heard priests respond to that new proposed bill, we'd rather go to jail. Respect. Yeah, maybe I'll make a video about that. That's awesome. Did you hear about the Catholic Church in New York that celebrated a Pride Mass? Oof. Ouch. I didn't hear about that. But I wonder how they like becoming Protestants. Joe Heschmeyer is also a fantastic podcast. Yes, Joe Heschmeyer is really good. He's another one who, I don't know how he has that much knowledge in his brain. He's brilliant. Catholic Church near me did it as well. What? That's crazy. Who is going to these churches? Who is in favor of this? Personally, I don't know anybody, and I know a lot of Catholics now, and I don't know anybody who would go to a Pride Mass. These priests, is nobody holding them accountable? If you're in a parish and your priest is doing this stuff, you should be bringing that up to them and saying, that's not right. You should stop doing that. Let's be honest, the human side of the church is bleeding, unfortunately. In a lot of ways, yes. I think there's also a tendency to hear about things that are going on all over the country and think that this is, or all over the world rather, and think, okay, there's some priests in Germany who are being wild, there's some priests in New York who are being wild, therefore the church is collapsing or something. Whereas at my local parish, we have none of these issues. Nobody's talking about a Pride Mass. Nobody's talking about uh, whatever, a BLM mass or something like that. Like nobody's doing that stuff at my local parish. So I think sometimes we have too big of a picture of what's going on in the world, and we need to just narrow it down to our own parish and keep our own parish in line. And we prevent that from happening at our parish. How are you even allowed to do that? Yeah, I know. I don't know. You hear about the Saint Michael the Archangel statue being built in Brazil? Ooh, it'll be the largest Christian monument in the world at 187 feet tall. Dang. Yeah, Catholic nations being based. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I was talking about how I like when people are proud of their country. I also really like when countries are just unapologetically Catholic and traditional. Like the Prime Minister of Poland, I think it is, who's just like, no, like we're not doing any of this New Age stuff. Uh, or even the Philippines, very Catholic country, very Catholic people. Like my parish, there's a lot of Filipino people at my parish, and I'm just like, this is great. God bless them. And the Philippines is the last country, other than the Vatican State, to have no divorce. The government does not recognize divorce. And there's a big debate right now in the Philippines about whether they should start to allow divorce. And I really hope they don't, because, yeah, just why would you apologize for believing something that you know is true? So I really like when countries and people are unapologetic about what they believe. There's also the German bishops who put pride flags on icons of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Yeah, that stuff has got to go. Wait, you don't know William? I'm sure I do. I just don't I'm terrible with names. Let me look up William Albrecht. I know I've heard the name, but I can't put a face to it. Okay. He was a scientist? Okay. Nice. He's a contributor to Catholic Answers. Nice, nice. I'm sure I've heard some of his stuff or come across it. I just my brain doesn't work. Uh Cello, what's up? No worries. I'm gonna be here for a while longer, so don't worry. Do you know what the Catholic Church teaching on tongues is? I don't think they have an official like dogmatic teaching on tongues, or like saying that it is absolutely true that someone can speak in tongues, or it's absolutely false that someone can speak in tongues. At least I'm not aware of one. My personal opinion is that, not that you asked for it, but my personal opinion is that speaking in tongues in the Bible always involves somebody understanding the tongues. So speaking in tongues in a way that is just saying gibberish, that is not a real language, is not the biblical representation of what speaking in tongues is. So that's how I feel about that. But I grew up in a lot of churches that spoke in tongues. So, all right. Cello, what's up? Poland voted in Jesus Christ as the King of Poland. That's awesome. Poland. I think I'm like 5% Polish, so I'm gonna call myself Polish now. Proud of that. That's awesome. That church didn't celebrate. It was rented for an event, and they did it without permission. Oh, okay, okay. Well, I mean that's better, but also churches need to be more mindful about what their church is being rented out for, because there's still the altar there. That's still where Jesus Christ becomes present. There is something sacred about that space, whether or not it's being used for a mass at that time. Thank you for the $5, Punisher MHS. Appreciate it. Patristic Pillar is his YouTube. Okay. By the way, what's the link for the Discord server? Because I don't have it anymore. Oh, you know what? I'll send it to you. Bishop Donnelly exorcised the church after it. Good. By the way, your videos have been very informative and helpful. It's wonderful seeing your channel grow. God bless and thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the $5. I really appreciate that. Helly, I remember that the priest didn't even know what the event was, apparently. Yeah, how are priests just renting out their sanctuaries and not knowing what it's going to be used for? That is so irresponsible. Like, even when people rent out a venue for a wedding, there's people that work there that are present and like they have security and stuff. Why can't a church do the same thing? It's so strange. Hallie, I remember that. Oh yeah. Based Poland. In the Philippines, you can have the government annul your marriage for the low fee of about $5,500. Wow. But what if the church annuls your marriage? Does the government recognize it? I would think they would. I guess it's possible the priest was lied to about the event. Yeah, I'm sure he was. I'm sure they didn't tell him we're going to do a pride event, but you can have somebody present at the event and have maybe a clause in your contract that if you do anything that is counter to our beliefs or that is disrespectful to the sanctuary, we will stop the event. We'll have security present to make sure, and you will have to leave and you will not get a refund. I think that should be the policy. And if people don't want to do that, then just don't do it. Like, the church will survive, hopefully. How is your family feeling these days about your conversion? I'm worried mine might actually disown me. You know, I think... One second. I think they might... So, my family felt very strongly about it at first. Especially my grandpa, like I talked about in my video. And he was very upset about it. And then now, it's not really an issue. Like, we talk about it, it comes up, but we don't get upset. And he doesn't get upset. So I think at first it's going to be very, very contentious. And then eventually it'll calm down. It could be different for anybody, you know, like there might be somebody who has just different parents that are not going to ever calm down or something, but I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure however strongly your parents feel about it, eventually they're going to realize I still want my child in my life, you know, or whatever, siblings or whatever. I'm going to head off now. All right, Georgitsu, thanks so much for the live stream. Congrats on 10K. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I'm going to keep going probably for another 30 minutes. So if you guys get bored or got something better to do, you can leave, but I'm just going to hang out. Should we reclaim the Holy Land and rebuild the Kingdom of Jerusalem? No comment. Next question. Should New York City Catholic Church, previously caught up in alphabet controversy, hosted a Pride Mass Thursday evening using an altar shrouded with a gray and Transformer pride flag at a local monument. Well, that is a shame. And they should be excommunicated immediately. Not that I'm the person that can be giving those pronouncements, obviously. Oh, mine were cool with it, but when I started talking about my monastic desires, it got a bit crazy. Oh, man. Yeah, well, I mean, doesn't that involve chastity? They might want grandkids or something. It gets a little more serious at that point. Let's retake our own countries first. That's a good point. Yeah, what would that look like? I don't think the current Pope would ever want the Vatican being involved in lawmaking or something in other countries, even though in some cases it might make sense. Uh, but there are certainly countries out there that were founded as specifically Catholic countries that are not anymore, unfortunately, that have gone the entire opposite route. Yes, they do want grandkids, but the will of the Lord be done, not mine nor my parents. Amen. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I'm just, yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying that it makes more sense why they would be upset about it in that case, because there's more implications than you just following a different religion at that point. What is your drink of choice? Coffee and water. Those are the two things I drink the most. I'm actually drinking decaf coffee right now. For anybody who's been following the channel for a while, you'll know that right now we are in St. Michael's Lent, and one of my things that I was going to give up was coffee, or caffeine. And I didn't drink any coffee, not even decaf, for the first week. My head was killing me the entire week, and I couldn't think straight. I recorded a video that week, and I'm pretty sure it did well, but that was like one of my worst videos, I think, because I couldn't think straight and I was very slow. But coffee, I love coffee. Another thing I love about Vietnamese culture is that they love coffee, and they have very original takes on coffee, like egg coffee, um, something called cafe mui, which is salt coffee, really good. So those are my drinks of choice: coffee, and I love water. I absolutely love water. I'll drink a soda like once a year or something, or if my wife is having one, she never finishes what she drinks, so she makes me finish it. But I really don't like soda that much. St. Michael's Lent, 3 weeks, no caffeine. Yeah, it's crazy. My fiance, Catholic, recently sang the Gloria in Latin while my mom, non-denom, was on the phone, and she said it sounded like casting a spell. Interesting how Latin has turned in synonymous with that. That's so weird. That sounds like it would be really beautiful. That's awesome. Is that like the Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto? Sancti? Sancto? I always get confused if it's Sancti or Sancto. Um, that sounds like it'd be really beautiful to sing. Going strong still. Also gave up marijuana. That's a good idea. And I think it has given me the spiritual fortitude I need to give it up permanently. God bless you. That's awesome. Yeah, it's not an easy one to give up. Everyone says it's not addicting, but man, it's it sure feels like it is when you're in the middle of it. Coffee is me. Speaking of addicting, coffee is me. I love coffee. Turkish black coffee is just amazing. Ooh, I'll have to try that. You look like you work in tech. Do you? What about me looks like I work in tech, sir? Or madam? I don't know if I should be insulted. I gave up carbonated drinks during Lent. Nice. I soon discovered that I have an addiction. Yeah. Yeah. THC is absolutely 100% addictive. Yes. Anybody denying that probably hasn't tried to give it up for good, or maybe it's just being dishonest. Yes, that is correct. I used to consume a lot of it, and I noticed at times when I didn't have any because I was too broke to buy it. I yeah, I noticed a difference that I did not like about myself. I was very irritable, had very strange dreams, and was not pleasant to be around. In Poland from December 2023, we have a new prime minister that is pseudo-Catholic, okay, leader of left-wing Pride Coalition. He kind of legalized baby deletion up to 9th month. Ugh, jeez. Despite having minority in parliament, pray for us. Oh boy. That's terrible. I don't know, it just seems like it. Okay, here's the thing. I do work in tech, okay? But I don't like that people can tell that I work in tech, because I don't know what that says about me. I'm also participating in St. Michael's Lent. Nice. I heard about it from you. Okay, nice. So I started working out and got rid of social media. That's a really good idea. By the way, I didn't ask. Shame on me. How have you been? No worries, dude. Like, I hope you're generally all right. Yeah, everything's good. I got confirmed since I don't know when we last spoke. Pretty sure I was still on TikTok when I got confirmed. Everything's going good. I don't have any complaints really. A lot of stuff is, I need to repair a lot of stuff to my house, which has been taking a lot of time from what I can do on YouTube. So I don't like that. But other than that, everything's good. Praise God. I just wanted to ask if you find it hard when people learn about your faith, other people in tech. Yeah, I'm generally pretty open about it. If it comes up, I don't bring it up, but I'll say, for example, like, hey, I can't take this meeting because I'm going to mass. It's a holy day of obligation or something, or I'm going to adoration or something like that. I'll generally be okay with sharing that kind of stuff if it comes up, but the response is usually like, oh, okay. Like, no, they don't bring it up. There was one time when I was working at a very small startup, and one of the guys that I was working with, I was a Lutheran at the time. And when he found out that I was a Lutheran, he brought up that his grandma's a Lutheran. And he was like, basically just kind of like, that sounds stupid. And then other people at the same company in the same meeting were bringing up how they were raised Catholic and how they had a lot of bad experiences. So it just became a little mini session on trashing Christianity, which was annoying. But I was just like, yeah, okay, cool. My confirmation saint was Saint Joseph. How have you been, Joachim? Thank you for your prayers. Good choice, thanks. Yeah, Saint Joseph is a G. I gotta get a statue of him. You can't see it, it's out of frame, but I have a statue of the Holy Family up there. It's kind of like a nativity type of scene, but I want to get a standalone statue of his that I can put with my Jesus and Mary statues. What gave you the idea to start a YouTube channel? You're doing great and I love all your vids. Thank you. I really appreciate that. What gave me the idea was I was already doing content on TikTok, so look, I've always gravitated towards mediums or media related to speaking and long form media specifically. When I was a very little kid, I think I was like 11 years old, I didn't have a lot of friends, and my family life wasn't all that great, wasn't all that stable. So I found a lot of solace in listening to podcasts. Well, there weren't podcasts at the time, but like talk shows on radio. And I was listening to this one talk show. It was on 106.7 at like 6 in the morning, or it might have been on a different station. One of those like rock stations where they have those morning talk shows. And those people to me were like my best friends. So from a very early age, I always found a sense of belonging in these types of media. And from the time that I could get my hands on a camera or something, or like social media, I was always trying to post things that were either text based of me, like I used to write a blog of me, explaining different beliefs that I have, whether politically or religiously or whatever, philosophically, um, or posting short form videos like on TikTok or even Instagram about religion again, or politics, or even my language learning journey about learning Vietnamese. So I've always kind of been leaning towards doing something in this area and doing something in video. And as I was doing TikTok, when I was a newly confirmed Catholic, or a soon to be confirmed Catholic, um, I realized that's not a very good medium for long form content or any ideas that have, depth that is more than a bumper sticker. So I was like, I'm just going to do YouTube. I like YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube. I think it's a very good medium. The only thing that was keeping me from it was having to edit videos because it takes so long. It takes me like 3 or 4 hours to edit a video. It's terrible. So that was, but I was like, I just want to do it. Like, I always had this thing in my mind that by the time I was 30, I wanted to start a YouTube channel and be serious about it. And I'm going to be 30 this year. So I was like, I should just do it. So that's the long story of why I wanted to start a YouTube channel. My dad told a guy I just met that I was converting to Orthodoxy, and his dad was Coptic. It got very awkward very quickly. I felt bad, but I didn't really know what to do. Yeah, that is awkward. I don't know what the general vibe is with Coptics and Orthodox about people of other religions, but I can imagine that I'm sure it gets contentious as it does with Catholicism. Like if someone finds out that their Catholic son is marrying a Protestant girl, there might be some issues. Any prayer requests? Thank you for asking. I guess just for the conversion of my loved ones, for the YouTube channel to continue to be fruitful, and to help people, and for it to continue to grow. I think, yeah, for my intentions to stay pure, for me to not continue to do YouTube merely for the publicity of it, or for the money, which there isn't a lot of money in it at this point. But for my intentions to always stay true to what God wants this YouTube channel to be for, which is to call more people to Him and to His true church. So yeah, all of that stuff. Prayers for all of that would be appreciated. How have I been, Joachim? Well, I managed to uphold my faith without social media. God bless you. That's awesome. I broke up because I realized the woman I was with was faking religious just to be with me. Whoa. Dang, dude. I think I'm more healthy. I'm more healthy too. Dang. You must be really good looking, man. People are faking religions just to be with you. Someone's going to mass every week who doesn't want to go to mass just because they want to be with you. Wow. It's good that you broke it off, but congrats on being handsome. Tortec says, great channel. Thank you. God bless you and everything you do. Thank you so much. God bless you too. Can a transformer be Catholic? Yes, of course. They would have to repent and accept themselves for how they were naturally born. But they could certainly be Catholic, even if they have a tendency towards that way of thinking. I got the sense that his dad was legalistic and was very strict with him. His dad was actually married to a Presbyterian, though, so maybe it was just fighting in the home. Kind of just wish he didn't say. Yeah. Joachim, stop. That's so flattering. Don't say that. Dude, I wouldn't fake a religion for anybody. Come on. Imagine. Like, imagine you really like somebody and they were whatever, a Mormon or something, and you had to go to their Mormon church services and practice all their Mormon practices, or at least appear to, and profess to, because you liked them. I I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that for anybody. So for somebody to do that, you shouldn't do it for anybody, by the way. It's not a good thing to do, but it's a little flattering, right? What to expect at my first time at Mass? Um, all right. So I was gonna make a joke, but I don't want to. I don't want to confuse anybody. um, I think it's usually they give you a bulletin, right? That kind of gives you a sense of the order of things. At least my parish does. But even without that, you kind of get the sense from just watching other people. So there's going to be times where, for example, before you sit down, some people might do a sign of the cross and then kneel before sitting down. That's just a sign of respect that we're approaching the King of the universe. So we're going to genuflect before him out of respect and out of reverence. Um, there's various times when people may bow a little bit, like at the when Jesus' name is mentioned or sung, or when we're saying the Nicene Creed and we get to the point about the incarnation, people tend to bow. But there's nothing crazy. Like you'll be able to follow what's going on. Maybe the first time you'll be like, this is kind of overwhelming, but you're like, no one's gonna yell at you for not doing the right thing, or not like bowing at the right time or something like that. So don't worry about it. I think it's good to also just leave it up to surprise. Like you don't have to know everything that's going to happen. Just go there and experience it for the first time and really just take it in. And like I said, no one's going to yell at you. So even if you're there just observing and you're just like, wow, this is so beautiful, which is hopefully what you're thinking, then that's fine too. Just take it in. And then over time you'll get the hang of like what happens when, and it's kind of like you learn by repetition. XJW Laura, wow, congrats on being an XJW. Really enjoy your content. Been fighting a huge battle in the Protestant world, coming out of becoming Catholic with Kelly Powers from Berean perspective. Everyone thinks I'm going into another cult. Oh. So, are you... So wait, were you on this show? Or I don't think I understand, but that is hurtful for people to think that. You gotta go gubba nub nub duraka. All right, no worries. Thank you for hanging out. It's been fun. How long did it take to learn Vietnamese, and did you use an app? I have a Viet friend, and I want to speak to him. He speaks/understands English just fine. I just think it'd be funny to surprise him. Yeah, that would be funny. The apps are generally terrible because they tend to have a more... So there's three different dialects in Vietnam. There's the northern, central, and southern. And if you're in America and you know a Vietnamese person in America, they're probably from the southern side of Vietnam, which is they speak a whole different dialect. It's almost a different language. Like it sounds completely different, in my opinion. But all of the apps, including like Duolingo, Rosetta Stone, I think I've checked out a few of them. They all have the northern dialect, and like maybe that's helpful if you're in the northern part of Vietnam or planning to visit the northern part of Vietnam. But it's not helpful if you're planning to speak to anybody from Vietnam who's in a Western country. So I recommend avoiding that. I personally think the best way to study is to just get a tutor. There's a very cheap service that I use, which they're not paying me to say this, by the way, but it's called SVFF, as in Southern Vietnamese for Foreigners. And if you go to like svff.online, maybe I can put a referral code or something. But they specialize in Southern Vietnamese, and you can meet one-on-one with a tutor for not a lot of money. It's like $15 an hour, which is like nothing. It's not nothing, but compared to other places to learn Vietnamese, it's very expensive. There was one that I saw the other day that was like $70 per session. It's insane. So $15 an hour is not bad. And I think it's just better to have that one-on-one time with somebody who's going to teach you the basics, and I don't know, like have that one-on-one time with you, and they know where you are, and they can kind of cater to your level and your speed of learning. But I've been learning for over a year now. I've taken some breaks in between, so altogether it's probably been about a year total. And I'm still not fluent. I'm like intermediate, maybe. Maybe I'm just dumb though, but I've gotten a lot better since I started. So I can hold basic conversations. I can order food at a restaurant, order coffee, you know, basic stuff like that you would need to get around. But if you're somebody who spends more time on it, maybe who's like studying a couple hours a day, you could probably learn it a lot faster. But if there's also one app that is pretty good for vocab. It's not good for grammar structure. I wouldn't personally like put all my eggs in this basket, but it's called Drops. They have a bunch of different languages, but their Vietnamese one is actually pretty good. They don't actually use a lot of northern words, which is good. So I would recommend that for vocab or like very simple sentences. That's been really helpful for me. So if you want to just break out a sentence to your friend, like chào anh có khỏe không? Just to like, so he's like, what? Then that app would probably be good for you. But if you want to actually learn the language, I don't recommend spending a lot of time on that. I'd rather just sit with the tutor. Okay, sorry, I spent a lot of time on that question, but I've been learning a lot of Vietnamese lately, and it's just something I'm excited about. I know it starts with the procession, the mass. Yeah, I really like the procession too. I recommend Sunday Missal. That's a good idea. Yeah. Dress practically, since there is likely standing and kneeling. Yep. Long-term goals for the channel. Sips with Sarah meet and greet at the National Eucharistic Congress in 2033. Maybe. I mean, that'd be really cool. My long-term goals. So I mentioned earlier that I want to be able to do this full-time. That is a huge goal. I don't think it's attainable within the next year or so, but maybe in a couple of years that can be a thing. I'm debating between whether I should do like a daily live stream kind of thing where I talk about different topics each day. I would have to do this for a full-time job for me to be able to do that, because that takes a lot of time, a lot of preparation, and luckily it would be no video editing. It would just be a live stream, maybe a little bit of editing here and there for clips and things like that. But those are some things I'm kicking around. I'm hoping that after a little while I can bring on like some sponsorships or something like that, so that I can make this a more sustainable source of income. Right now I'm just getting AdSense from YouTube, which is, it's great, but it's not something I can live off of. So those are some long-term goals. I want this to be a good resource for people who are interested in Catholicism, or who might want to share ideas about Catholicism with other people. But I want the videos to not be so, like, I don't know how to express it. I don't want the videos to be too buttoned up, if that makes sense. I want it to be kind of a casual resource for people to watch, get some enjoyment out of it while still learning about, core tenets of Catholicism and things like that. But something you could share with a friend where, like, I don't want to talk badly about anybody, but if I were to watch a video, like let's say I'm interested in Catholicism and I watch a video about like, why do Catholics pray to the saints? And I saw a video like this actually, and it made me not want to become Catholic. I saw a video where this girl was, and I don't mean to be mean to her, and I don't remember her name even. So I'm sorry if she sees this or something, because she's great, I'm sure, but it just didn't speak to me. And she made this video about how, like, my relationship with Mother Mary has become so close, and I can just feel her speaking to me, and I can really feel that she's communicating God's will with me, and all these things. And I ask for her intercession, and she's there for me. I feel her, and that type of speaking to me, like, icks me out, especially if it's not about God. It's just like it's true in a sense, but even when people talk about God in that sense, it's like I don't want to share this with a friend, right? Because it's too feely, it's too touchy feely. So I want to provide a resource for people where we're learning about the things that, or defending the things that need to be defended in defending Catholicism, but that's done in a way that is casual, that's fun, lighthearted, and is not embarrassing to share with a friend. That's my overall goal with all of this. That was a very long-winded way of saying that. What is it that made you go from a JW to a Catholic? I was not a JW. There must have been a misunderstanding. Unless you're talking to Laura. You're probably talking to Laura. Laura says, yes, I did a video with him because of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I was Protestant at the time, but now I've come to know the fullness of the faith, and he keeps calling me a cannibal and a liar. Wow, that's terrible. He also deletes a lot of my messages when I try to defend the faith, and it's frustrating because his videos are always one-sided with his biased opinions of Catholicism. Oh, it sounds like I need to do a response video to this guy. I work with 2 Catholics, and we got into a discussion about the presence of Jesus, and they told me how they experienced him too, and how they're praying for me to know the fullness of the truth. And I thought I had the fullness of the truth, lol, so it took me on a long journey of almost a year. I read Scott Hahn's book, and it was after many months of prayer, God answering so many questions, I knew this was Christ's first church and the truth, and this is why I had so many problems in Protestantism and not understanding the doctrine or agreeing with them, especially once saved, always saved. Yeah, that's a rough one. God bless you, Laura. Can you remind me of this guy's name? Maybe I'll do a response video. Maybe I'll scroll up and find it. Or not. Laura, what is the name of that channel again? I can, if he's done videos on it, I can. Okay, Berean Perspectives. His name is Kelly Powers. Okay, let me take a note of that. I think I've heard of his channel before, but oh, we have similar channel sizes too. Oh yeah, this guy. His first video you see when you go to his channel is The Truth on Mary Worship and the Intercession of Saints. Interesting. Beware of Sam Shamoon's cult. All right, well, I'll look at this later, but I'm going to have to make some responses to that guy as revenge for Laura. I got your back, Laura. Joachim, damn, I miss just sitting here enjoying the lives. Yeah, it's fun. I kind of want to do a regular live stream, like maybe one live stream a week and one video a week. But I've been debating if I should do it for members only or not, but I don't know. I really enjoy these two. Hey, I understood that you're speaking Vietnamese well. Thank you. I need to make more Vietnamese friends, so I'm glad you're here. I need to practice speaking more. Yeah, but cảm ơn nhiều. I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but tôi đang học tiếng Việt hơn 1 năm rồi, cho nên anh or tôi hy vọng tôi có thể nói giỏi. Sarah said, guns out, let's do this. Yeah. On my Catholic account, it's called Divine Conversion. I did a response video. There's 2 of them. You'll see where he calls me a liar, and it's ridiculous. Thank you. You're awesome. I'm at work. Got to get cleaning. Love you guys. God bless everybody. God bless you too, Laura. Maybe we'll collab on just on a takedown video of him or something. I'd become a member for these live streams. All right, good to know. Yeah, my only concern is that if I make it members only, it's gonna be just a handful of people that show up. Because even if I have a lot of members, not everybody's like free at the time that I'm doing live streams. So I don't want it to just be like me and 2 people sitting here like, hey, how are you? I want it to be a little more fun. Like, this has been a lot of fun. It's been 2 hours already, and I don't want to stop. I'm going to look up Laura's channel, Divine Conversion. All right. Hopefully I can find it, because that's kind of that might be a little bit of a vague name that a lot of channels might pop up, or a lot of videos. Divine Conversion. Nope, I found it right away. Great. I'm going to subscribe. All right. Friday night chat for the members. Yeah, I'm down. Do you know anything about Judaism? Not really. Not a lot. Other than like what is relevant to Catholicism as well, like the Passover and things like that. Quick question from a public high school kid. How does one remain truly Catholic in such an anti-God space? How do I get my friends to come to Christ? Oof. Yeah, I don't envy being in that position. Going to public school is a good way to lose your faith, but it sounds like you're not going to accept that, so that's good. I think one thing that is a barrier for a lot of young people, and even people my age, which I don't consider myself young anymore, but one thing that's a big barrier is like being embarrassed about your faith and having people like notice that you're a Christian or something, and then they call you out on it, and you're like, oh, it's just my personal belief. I think one thing that we need to do, and this also would help bring your friends to Christ as well, but it's a more subtle way, is just do little things throughout the day that are good for you to do apart from other people being there, like praying over a meal before eating. Personally, whenever I'm eating a meal, even if it's with other people, other friends or family who are not Christians or Catholics, I do a sign of the cross before eating, and I just say, kind of whisper to myself, bless us, Lord, in these gifts which we're about to receive from thy bounty. And it's just a small thing. It's really quick, but other people are obviously going to see you do that, and they're going to be like, whoa, what was that? And some people might be curious about it. Some people might mock you over it, but overall, you shouldn't care if somebody mocks you over it, because that's kind of what we expect anyways. But the people who are curious about it are going to be like, hey, I noticed you do this thing before you eat. Like, what is that? And you just explain it. I'm a Catholic. I like to pray before eating a meal because it keeps me in perspective, knowing that everything I have is from God, and it keeps me grateful for everything, and whatever your explanation is for that. And I think also when it comes to just maintaining your own faith, I mentioned this earlier, But just being consistent, even in small things, and I don't want to say lower the standards for yourself, but like keep keep the bar at a place where you know you can hit it, but it also makes you have to continue to grow. So, like I mentioned, prayer earlier. Don't commit to praying 5 rosaries every day. Just pray what you can, what you know you can do consistently every day. So even if that's, I'm going to pray 1 decade of the rosary every day, or I'm going to pray 3 Hail Marys every day, or I'm going to pray an Our Father, 3 Hail Marys, and a Glory Be every day. Something like that you can do consistently will keep you grounded in your faith. Will obviously be efficacious because you're praying to God, and you're asking Mary for her prayers. And yeah, just doing that will keep you consistent in your faith. Otherwise, if you do nothing, then you're going to fall out of your faith. And if you try to do too much, then you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to want to do anything, and then you're going to fall out of your faith. So just have balance. And I wouldn't bring up conversations with your friends. I wouldn't like go up to them and be like, you need to become a Christian. I would just, like I said, live out your faith in small ways, and they will notice that. And if they're curious about it, they'll come to you, but no one is going to be curious about something that you're trying to throw at them. They're only going to be curious about it if it's something you're doing privately, even if it's in public, something you're doing yourself that you're not trying to push on anybody. Then they'll be curious about it. No one's going to be curious about something that you come and tell them they have to do. Like, I don't want to hear about that. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I hope so. Andres, okay. Have a safe drive. God bless. This was great. My first Sips live stream. Nice. Noah, my exact positions before this year when I transferred to a Catholic school, I did my best to just limit interactions and don't diminish your faith. Live out your faith as best as possible. Yeah, that's good advice. Joachim, I remember on the TikTok lives, it was so chaotic. I know, this is so much more chill. All right, Ring the Wolf. Hey, you have to head out. Love your channel. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. If you can please pray for me, I have an interview for a great job opportunity on Tuesday, and I want it to go well. Nice. Yeah, we'll be praying for you. How can I deal with addiction? It probably depends on what addiction it is, but generally, there's not a really good one-size-fits-all answer to that. A lot of prayer. I think specifically asking Mary to pray for you. She can be very effective in these things. Especially if it has to do with a corn addiction. Because if we think about how we should see Mary, which she's, obviously the Holy Virgin Mary, we have the most respect for her than any other, human other than Christ. And we think of her as our mother. We revere her. We love her. We respect her. That is how you should treat all women. And if you were to treat all women that way, then you should not be indulging in corn, because that is inherently disrespectful and degrading to the women involved, and also to women as a whole, because now you're treating women as objects, and you're saying that they are nothing more than objects to be used for your own desires. And in a sense, you're kind of saying that about Mary because she is a woman. So that's one way to think about it. I'm not saying that that's what you're dealing with, but that is a common thing that people struggle with. Noah says, I'm blessed to be at a school with a chapel. That's awesome. So I go to Mass every morning. Nice. And then visit the chapel 2 to 3 times after that. It has helped me so much. And I'm so glad this transition of schools was able to happen. That's great. Hey, how's been the St. Michael's Lent? Thanks for recommending it. It's been very hard. I haven't had coffee. I've had decaf coffee, but I do miss caffeine. So many atheists, we wanted to pull our eyes out. Yeah, in the chats in TikTok, yeah. They filled the chat with accusation. and we had these quote miracles after we prayed the rosary. They were all gone. Oh yeah, so when I was on TikTok, uh, I would pray the rosary. So I would chat for like 30 minutes and then I would pray the rosary. And I would always say, because there was a bunch of atheists arguing with us in the comments, and I would say, guys, we're going to witness a miracle here today. We're going to pray the rosary, and when we come back from praying the rosary, all of these atheists will be gone, or they will have prayed the rosary with us if they're still here. So like either we've converted them or they've just disappeared out of a sheer miracle. So we would pray the rosary, and yeah, after the rosary, they would all leave because we weren't paying attention to them. That was hilarious. I missed that. Love what you do, man. Thank you. I don't know how to say your username, but I appreciate it. I have honestly quit my corn addiction cold turkey. Nice. I will say just be aware that temptation is real and it's okay. Pray to St. Joseph especially. Nice. That's good advice. I did the same when I came to the face. I managed to just stop. That's awesome. It was hard the first couple of weeks, but after that I felt so much better. Yeah. What is up with these Christian YouTuber channels' obsession with fixing corn addiction? Kind of strange. It's a big problem that like something like 80% of men or more, 90% or something watch it, and it should be zero. So if there's something going on that 90% of people are taking part of that should not be taking part in it, I think it's a good idea to focus on that. I've tried to leave my addiction. It doesn't matter what it is. The problem is that I keep falling, and I feel like I can't keep being a good son to God. I would talk to a priest about that. I think what you'll find is that every time that you commit this sin and you go back and confess it, God's mercy is still there waiting for you. And God isn't keeping count. He's not saying, you've done this 50,000 times already, and here you are asking for my forgiveness again. He's not going to say, no, that's it. Too many times. You're not forgiven. He's going to forgive you again. And if you're genuine about wanting to repent of it, he's going to continue to forgive you every time, as long as you come back and receive that forgiveness. But I don't think there are some good things you can do if you haven't mentioned what this is. So I'm going to go with corn because that seems to be the most prominent in the world. There's Covenant Eyes. There's Strive 21, which is Matt Fradd's program as a detox from corn. And there's all kinds of good resources out there. I think having an accountability buddy is a good idea. So you can have somebody who you can talk to about this, or you can say, I'm feeling tempted right now. Usually you can see it coming, right? So being able to just like catch that happening and just get out of it, I think is a great thing to be able to do. Any advice on how to approach women? Bro, you're asking the wrong person. Depends where, I guess, you're approaching them. I don't know. Just be confident. Don't be a creep. Don't say the same thing that they've heard other guys say probably 100 times. And take an interest in them that shows that you are there to actually get to know them and not just to like get in, get out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But as far as dating skills, dude, or like pickup lines or whatever, I have no idea. I'm terrible at that stuff. I met my wife in high school. We didn't date right away, but we dated shortly after high school. So I already kind of had an in with her. Like we already knew each other and stuff. So it was easy to approach her and ask her out. Hey, Peaceful Warrior. Thanks for being here. I'm probably going to drop soon. I forgot. I only meant to do this for 2 hours, but this is fun. I didn't know what to give up for St. Michael's Lent, so I just kind of copied you. Give up all drinks other than water, and I'm not using my phone after sunset. Nice. Thanks for the help in deciding. Anytime, Noah. Just subscribed. Thanks, man. Thanks for the subscriptions. That's helpful. The Sacrament of Reconciliation and the Surrender Novena have been a huge help. Nice. Addiction is something I struggle with too. The hardest part is depression and reminding yourself of God's love. I find that praying the litany of trust helps when I'm feeling like giving in. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a struggle. What's really, I think Matt Fradd has talked about this on Pints with Aquinas, but you'll hear, well, you won't hear, but in your mind, right, before you give into this temptation, you're going to feel a sense of like, well, like God will forgive you. You just go to confession. Like, it kind of becomes a cycle of you going to confession so often. So, it's fine. You just go to confession again. It's no big deal. And then after you do it, it's like, I can't believe you did that. You're a terrible Christian. How could God forgive you? This is disgusting. Like, what are you thinking? You're such a fake, all this stuff. So it's like Satan lies to you on both sides of the sin. And I think it's just better to not believe any lies of Satan. So the first lie that you hear from Satan, that it's not that big of a deal, you just go to confession again, don't worry about it. Don't listen to that lie of Satan when you hear it. I think knowing that you're going to like have that thought and knowing how to react to that thought is a good way to prepare. But there's no one size fits all thing, unfortunately. Like, I wish you could just take a pill and that never happened, but yeah. Approach them after Mass and give them your best Catholic riz. Maybe not. Or maybe yes. I mean, that might work. People meet in the weirdest ways. The hardest addiction I had to give up was cursing. Yeah, same. That was really hard. I still do it like occasionally, but I catch myself and I'm like, no, don't do that. I used to curse so much, it was affecting my faith so negatively. I really can't believe I let that happen. Yeah. Catholic Riz. The best pickup line is, if you were a vegetable, then I would visit you in the hospital. That's a good one. In sickness and in health, bro. I'm going to be honest, pretty much being lazy, because that leads me to pretty much all other temptations, and more often than not, I fall. By the way, I really appreciate your channel. Thank you. Adolfo, I think I remember you from TikTok. Were you on TikTok following me too? I think I remember an Adolfo on there, if I'm not mistaken. Just go up after Mass and say, if I had a bead for every time I thought of you, I'd have a joyful mystery. That's so terrible. It kind of sounds creepy too. Why are you thinking about her? You've never spoken to her before. Can you please explain why I should pray to saints? I'm Catholic and I pray to saints. I just want to know why we should, if God can answer all our prayers. Yeah, well, it's very clear in the Bible that we should pray for one another. And it's also very clear that we are one body in Christ, and that body is not separated from life, from this side of life and the other. So the saints in heaven are just as much a part of the body of Christ as we are, and they are aware of what's going on earth. That's why Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 says we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. And also James chapter 2, I think, says that the prayers of a righteous person avails much, or the prayer of a righteous person is effective. So it makes sense that we would want prayers of righteous people to be on our behalf. For example, you wouldn't go up to, I don't know, a non-believer or somebody who's very new to the faith who isn't living it out correctly or something like that. Would you rather them pray for you, or would you rather the most holy person you know is alive at this time? Would you rather have them pray for you? Obviously, you'd rather have the more holy person pray for you. That's what the Bible tells us. So, all that is to say, if you can have the most holy people in the church who are in heaven pray for you, and we know that those prayers will be more effective, then why not? Also, since we're all part of the body of Christ, we should try to have a relationship with one another. Obviously, it's going to be in a different sense since they are in heaven and we are here on earth, but there is a sense in which we can have a relationship with them. And also, God, Jesus, who is God, many times in the Bible, doesn't just do things on his own and doesn't involve other people. He always, I want to make sure I'm using my words carefully. I don't think there's a time, well, maybe that's not true. Okay. There's many times in the Bible, I want to make sure I'm speaking accurately. There's many times in the Bible where miracles involve the work of other people. So for example, the guy who was blind and Jesus spit on the dirt and rubbed it to make mud and put it on his eyes. He told him to go wash. And then he was cured of his blindness. He wasn't cured of his blindness right when Jesus touched him. Similarly, the making water into wine involved the people who were to fill the barrels with water. He could have just snapped his fingers and wine could have appeared in there, but there is a sense in which Jesus wants us to participate in the miracles that he is trying to perform. He performs the miracles through us, not necessarily just snapping his fingers. Well, he can do that, and he kind of does do that in some cases, like when he raises Lazarus from the dead. But it does seem that he prefers to work through people, and he can work through people on earth, he can work through people in heaven, but either way, it is his will being carried out through the saints or through us. Hopefully that helped. I don't know. Before we log off, I think I want to start a Catholic YouTube channel too. I did TikTok for a while, but TikTok sucks. It sure does. And I want to do videos with more substance in them. Any tips for YouTube? Yes. You need to focus on your thumbnails. Thumbnails need to be good because you might have a really good video, and I thought I had some really good videos that just did not perform well. But the first thing that the person sees of your video is the thumbnail, and that makes them decide whether they want to click on it or not. So have a compelling thumbnail. Canva, if you look up Canva YouTube thumbnail, they have templates that you can use, and it's very professional looking thumbnails. That's what I use for my thumbnails. I think they look professional. I don't know. But very good looking thumbnails that you can make them for free, or if you want like their best whatever assets and stuff, you can pay, I think it's like $15 a month. I think it's worth it. And it's going to get a lot more people to click on your videos. Thumbnails are huge. Also, you have to edit videos unless you can speak very well. If you can speak on a topic for like 15-20 minutes and have very few dead air moments or very few slip ups with your speech, then maybe you don't have to edit. But I think at first you'll probably have to edit your videos, so just kind of accept that, bite the bullet. I use Adobe Premiere Pro. It's really, really good, and it's something like $22 a month or something, which is not too bad. So there is some expense involved. Also, for a camera, you can just use your iPhone if you don't have a super duper legit camera. The iPhone shoots 4K quality video. It doesn't look quite as good as the camera I'm using now, obviously, but it's passable. I mean, I got to like 5K views on 5K subscribers on just my phone as a camera. So highly recommend you can just start off with that, save some money for now until it becomes more of a feasible thing to do full time. Other than that, I recommend getting a good microphone because audio is very important. This microphone is a Rode microphone, Rode. I forgot what it's called exactly. It's like the Rode something. That's helpful. But I think it was like $100. So if you could spare the $100, then go that way. Otherwise, there are some cheaper options that are just, the quality is not going to be as great, but it's passable. So there's that. And yeah. And then other than that, keep your videos on topics that are interesting, or maybe there's some kind of current events going on related to that topic that'll make people want to click. And then make sure your titles like titles and thumbnails are so important. So make sure your titles are compelling. Like don't just say explaining why the Virgin Mary was a perpetual virgin. No one's going to click on that. Would you click on that? I wouldn't click on that. So naming your video is something compelling, like for example, my video on why Mary is the mother of God. I said the title was like, you might not be a Christian if you deny this. And then the thumbnail had a picture of Mary and it said mother of God question mark. Like that makes you like, whoa, that's you're starting an argument kind of. So try to find a way to make your videos, make your titles compelling, make your thumbnails compelling. Those are like the best like high level advice I could give. Thank you so much, Pro Life Chloe, for the super chat. I appreciate that. God bless your ministry. Much love from your Marionite sister. God bless you too. I really appreciate that. That's really kind. You talk so monotone. I know I do. I get that a lot. But somehow people watch it. Somehow we're sitting here celebrating 10K subscribers. How can one be open about their Catholic faith without like focusing on how people react to it? How does one live it out, both Matthew 6:6 and Luke 9:26, without being on both extremes? I need to read those verses before I respond to that, because I don't know what those verses are. So Matthew 6:6 says, but when you pray, go into an inner room. Okay, yeah, so praying privately. And what's the other one? Luke 9:26. Whoever is ashamed of me and my words, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes into his glory. Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't believe that when Jesus is saying to like lock yourself in a closet and pray, I wonder if he means that literally, because if he does, then is everybody who's doing like a rosary prayer on YouTube or a rosary prayer at their local church or something, are they all committing some kind of a sin? Are they being unvirtuous in that? I don't think so. But I think it's more so like, don't pray just to be seen to be praying. Like, you don't want to be seeking people's recognition through your prayers. So if that's what you find yourself doing, and you have to be honest with yourself to discover that that's what you're doing. Like, you have to really be willing to be critical of yourself. And then you'll know, like, am I just not praying before a meal or something because I want to be humble and not like brag about my prayer life, or is it really just that I'm embarrassed? And you'll know the answer to it. So just be honest with yourself, I guess. Pippi, that was a great answer. Thank you. I don't remember what I was answering that you were referring to, but I'm glad it was good. Using the relics of the saints or bones of them is or could be witchcraft? No. It's there's references to it in the Old Bible, in the Old Testament. For example, when somebody's body touches the bones of the prophet Elisha, they come back to life. So there is power in relics, whether that's the bones of a dead saint or a fabric or something. For example, in the book of Acts, I believe it was it Paul or Peter? I want to say it was Peter. There was a handkerchief of Peter's that was used to heal people. So it's definitely not witchcraft. It's biblical. And it's good. Hi, Sips. I wanted to ask, what's your favorite meal to eat? Mm, oh man, it depends on my mood. So I really like enchiladas. I really like burritos, California burritos especially. But I also really like a lot of good Vietnamese food like pho and banh xeo. And there's this thing that the Vietnamese people eat that it's a big thing. It's just rice. I don't know how to describe it, but it's called banh chung. It's really good, and they usually eat it around Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year for the non-Chinese folks. And it's really good, really good. So those are some of my favorite meals. Please pray for me, all new to the Catholic walk with Christ. God bless you. Hi, Sips. Nice to chat with you. I pray that you realize that there is a crisis in the church at the moment. Poorly catechized children and laid back laity. Well, yeah, that is a crisis. I agree. We should not have poorly catechized children, and the laity should not be as laid back as they are. I agree. Pro Life Chloe is awesome. You should take a look at her content. You know what? I will. I'm learning about a lot of new YouTubers here today. New to me, at least. Subscribing. Yeah, we need more pro-life voices out there. I am unfortunately doing homework right now, but I would like to thank you for this channel. Thank you. Also, I want to remind everyone that Mary's birthday is Sunday, September 8th. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Have I ever been to the Vatican? No, I have not, but I would love to go. I feel like I have a lack of love and prayers, giving to the poor and evangelizing, like I'm just doing it out of obligation. Any help at all? How could I fix the no emotion? I think it's okay to have no emotion. Just do the thing. It's like when you exercise or learn a language, like when I'm learning Vietnamese. I'm not always excited about learning Vietnamese, but like sometimes I have my meetings with my tutor and I'm like, I really don't want to do this today, and I'm trying to think of a way that I can get out of it. But I realize now I should really just do it. And in doing it, I still continue to progress in learning Vietnamese. Just like in doing your good works of giving to the poor or in praying, the effects of it are still real, even if your feeling in it is not fully there. And eventually, your feeling will build. Or maybe at times it'll be low and at other times it'll be high. But the important thing is not how you feel, because what you're doing, especially when giving to the poor, what you're doing is serving other people. So it doesn't really matter how you feel. It'd be nice to be happy about it and be excited about it and do it out of the love of your heart, but at the very least, you gotta do it. Any favorite church song? Like during Mass, my favorite song is like the song where we sing "Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us." That is by far my favorite song. Pho is the best. Yes. Can you or have you done a video on Islam as compared to Christianity? I've seen some videos from atheists lumping Islam in with Judaism or Christianity. I have not, and I don't know enough about it to do a like sophisticated video on it. But perhaps later on, after I'm done with like the 2 series that I've committed to, maybe that's something I can look into. How can I deal with fear? Because in the Bible we are called to be fearless, but also fear could be helpful in avoiding getting in certain situations. So how can I find the balance? Well, it depends what you're fearful of. If you're fearful of the repercussions for doing something that you know you should do, then that fear, you just have to not let it get the better of you. For example, if you're in fear of the repercussions for, I don't know, like let's say putting your kids in Catholic school. Like it's a good thing to do. You know it's better for their faith and probably even for their education than putting them in a public school. But you know that like it's going to be harder. You got to drive a little further. Your family might think you're weird, or you're raising your kids to be weirdos. You might get some pushback. But overall, the fear of those things, or the fear of like public ridicule or whatever, needs to be less less respected than your fear of doing what is wrong. Now, if you're having fear over something that is just stupid, like I'm scared to jump off of my roof into my pool, then you probably just shouldn't do that because that's dumb. Eastern Rite, Maronite, Catholic, revert from Protestantism. God bless you. Hope all is going well with you. Be sure to smile, bro. What does that mean? I don't smile enough in my videos? Now I don't want to smile because you told me to. I'm going to be serious now. Why do you think so many people are irreligious? Because life is very comfortable now, and we can get our immediate desires satisfied by technology or by whatever food or whatever we have access to. So we don't feel a need as often to reach out to supernatural sources of peace like God through prayer. So we just feel like, why would I do that? I can watch Netflix or something. And people can keep themselves happy enough for a long enough time if they're dishonest with themselves that they don't need to ever face the fact that their life is empty and vapid and pointless. Or at least the way they're living it is. I'm dipping out. All right, Corpse Parfait. Thank you. Thank you for your time and efforts. God bless. Pray for you and pray for me. I will. Thank you. Can you do some videos on Buddhism and Hinduism versus Catholic view? So I did a video early on about where I reviewed different religions, and I asked ChatGPT to just give me the basics on other religions like Buddhism, Hinduism. I think I also did Taoism, and I'm sure I'm forgetting one. And I just gave like a rating to each religion. I thought it was cool, but it didn't get a lot of views. But maybe I'll do another one. I'll do like a revamp of it. I'll try to find a way to make it different and better. My patron saint, Saint Joachim, has his feast day on September 9th. Nice. There's another one on June 26th, but that's Joachim and Anne. Oh, okay. What's your opinion on Carlo Acutis being canonized soon? It's exciting. First millennial saint. I think it's like the first saint of our time, really, like of our age. So that's really cool. It kind of shows that it's still possible to be a saint, even if you're alive in modern times, right? Somehow we might forget that, but that's a good reminder of that. If you can't tell, I absolutely love music. That's good. Do you think that one day all of the streams of Christianity could be one, or at least be together, sing together without fighting one another? I think it's possible. I mean, we see a lot of Protestants converting to Catholicism. I've seen a few Orthodox convert to Catholicism. So I like that. And the Catholic Church is really good about being welcoming to people of other faith traditions, like having an order that is for Anglicans, for former Anglicans, and also having like the Eastern Rite and all these different rites that are more suited to people's specific cultures. I think that stuff is really helpful to bring about that unity eventually. What is your view on evolution? It's probably true. I haven't looked into it much. I know Stephen C. Meyer has done some good work on that. He's talked about how there must have been a divine hand in evolution to explain some of the things that have happened. So I don't know. I just haven't looked into it enough. Yo, I just watched that religion review video. That was a bold video. I know. I try to be very respectful because I have family that are like Buddhist. I have family that are, well, no, that's the only one. But I try to be respectful. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. My goal wasn't to be disrespectful. It's just to be like, learn about different religions. And also to talk about why Catholicism is better. If or when you become a saint, that's a big if. What would you want to be a patron saint of? I know what I would not want to be a patron saint of. Isn't there a patron saint of ugly people? I don't want to be that saint. Although it might be fitting. I don't know. I haven't given that much thought. I don't think I would be a patron saint of anything. Like, what? YouTubers, I guess, but that's so lame. And there's so many better YouTubers out there. Patron saint of bearded people? No, there's a lot of better beards out there. I don't know, man. Saint Drogo, is that who it was? Yeah. Patron saint of ugly people. Saint Drogo, pray for us. Thank you for answering the questions. It takes a lot of patience and courage to put yourself in the position you are now. May God bless you. From Costa Rica. Pura vida. Nice. I love Costa Rica. I remember, I think I remember you. Maybe it was from, I don't remember where it's from, man, but I definitely remember you and being from Costa Rica. Costa Rica has the best coffee in the world, okay? And I'm speaking as somebody who, I have no heritage from Costa Rica. There's no benefit to me saying this, but Costa Rica has the best coffee in the world. Hands down. The fact that Brazil is the largest exporter of coffee and Vietnam is number 2. Vietnam has good coffee too, but Costa Rica should be number 1. Like, Costa Rica, if everybody just tasted their coffee, Costa Rica would like surpass the economies of America and UK like very quickly because their coffee is that good. Saint Drogo is a patron saint of ugly people. Yes. No, don't say that. It isn't fitting in all your hands. Thanks, Joachim. You're just saying that because I complimented you earlier. Okay, I should drop because this is almost 3 hours long, guys. Thank you so much for being here all this time. It's kind of crazy. We were blessed with the coffee. God's been good to us. That's true. And a beautiful country too, like beautiful landscapes. I remember when I was traveling there, I think it was in the time of Lent, and I saw like crosses on everybody's yard. Huge, like not huge, but like 4-foot crosses with like a purple drape on them. Beautiful. It's just like such a faithful people over there. It's really beautiful. And then even I took a tour of a coffee plantation and they had a statue of Mary there. I wasn't even Catholic at the time, but I was just like, it's so beautiful how this country is so faithful. Hey dude, love the channel. Thank you, Kevin. You're a great addition to Church Apologetics on YouTube. Keep at it. Please throw some prayers my way. You'll be in mine. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, y'all. This is the end of the stream. Thank you. If you come back, I'll give you a tour. Okay, I'm going to hold you to that because I would love to go back to Costa Rica. All right. God bless, guys. Thank you so much for all of the time hanging out. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you so much for the 10K subscribers. Cameron just got here. That's so sad. I could stay on for a couple more minutes, I guess, but I just want to say a big thank you for everything. Never expected to get this much support this fast. So it really means a lot. I never imagined that this was possible to even get to this point. So I can't imagine keeping at it where we can be in another couple months. So thank you for that. I'll answer a couple more questions because Cameron Riker just got here, and you should check out Cameron Riker's channel too. He's great. He's a lot smarter than I am, and his video, he talks a lot better than I do. Someone mentioned earlier that I'm very monotone. Well, Cameron is not monotone. He's awesome. What is the difference with intention to do an act versus temptation? If you're intending to do an act, you don't need to be tempted to do it. Like if I intend to go eat a cheeseburger, then I wasn't tempted to necessarily. But if I am tempted to do a cheeseburger, then I'm intending not to, but I'm leaning towards doing it against my own intentions. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Punisher. Cameron, thank you so much. Favorite saint is, I think, Saint Agatha. I don't know if she's my favorite, but I think about her the most. All right. Cameron, I'll be in touch. Um, I do want to do a collab video again or something. Another interview maybe. Or a collab. That'd be fun. All right, Andrew, thank you. How do we reconcile the wars and enlightenment of earlier Catholics had done? Whenever someone in school brings up the Catholic Church, it is always related to something bad. Yeah, I think a lot of times, so like specifically with the wars, like the Crusades, people just don't know what the Crusades were about. The Crusades were actually the Catholic Church being attacked many, many times, and Catholic countries being taken over by Muslim militant groups, and that happening for many years before the Catholic Church responded to it and said, no, we're going to take these countries back because you can't just militarily force people to convert to your religion, so we're going to take it back. So the Crusades were not bad. The Crusades were good. Brian Holdsworth has a great video on that. Brian Holdsworth, he says like everything you know about Christianity is a lie or something like that. How you've been lied to about Christianity, something like that. So check out Brian Holdsworth video on that. Similarly with the Spanish Inquisition, like people bring that up as some terrible thing that the church did, but what was happening was people were being falsely accused of heresy and then being killed, and the Catholic Church came in to say, let's actually have a trial for these people, and that was what the Inquisition was, giving people a trial before like executing them or something for some accusation of blasphemy. And over the course of, I forgot how many years it was, or centuries, it was like 3 centuries or something of the Spanish Inquisition, like 5,000 people died, which or was it 3,000 people? Something like that. Like some small number of people actually died during that whole time. So it's not as though the Catholic Church was just going in there like killing everybody who didn't believe or something. Like that's not at all what happened. So a lot of times history is being misrepresented, and in the times when Catholics have behaved immorally, it is not that the problem is not that they were Catholic. The problem is that they were not Catholic enough. So if they were more Catholic and held to Catholic teachings, like respect of the other, love of other, treat others as you would like to be treated, things like that. If Catholics were to hold to that, then they would never commit those atrocities in the first place. So the answer to Catholics being immoral is for them to be more Catholic, not less. That is all. Okay. I'm glad my voice is soothing. Thank you. 350 years, yeah. And like less than 2,000 people died. Okay. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. And I will see you guys in the next video, probably next Friday or next Wednesday. And until I see you then, God bless y'all.